Here, as part of UN system and the starting of the initiative on STEM education in Kenya, which is a digital approach to STEM mentorship, which UNESCO is leading in support with other UN agencies. As you are all aware, the coronavirus pandemic has disrupted education for nearly 1.3 billion students worldwide. And in Kenya, it's more than like 17 million learners. They are out of school. And we wanted to take care of everyone in this during difficult time. This is an effort to support Ministry of Education in its response to impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the education sector. UNESCO has joined hands with Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, the National Commission for Science and Technology and Innovation, NACOSTI, L'Oreal Foundation for Women for Science program, and finally the Safaricom Limited, and they're also providing some technical help in organizing this. This is how, we wanted to introduce a digital platform for this STEM mentorship program that will ensure students to continue get mentorship services and are kept connected with the STEM education program. The overall objective of this webinar is to keep students connected to STEM in the face of COVID-19 while inspiring their young minds through exposure to the beauty of power of science. This is one of the educational activities that UN Fraternity in Kenya has come out with support of education sector response to COVID-19 pandemic. With this background, now I have the honor to invite Dr. Belio Kipsong, Principal Secretary for Early Learning, Basic Education, Ministry of Education, Government of Kenya, on behalf of all the Principal Secretaries in the Ministry of Education. Dr. Kipsong, the floor is yours.
Dr. Belio.
Kindly unmute Dr. Belio Kipsang.
Yeah, Andrew, can you help Abeka, because I think his video is turned upside down.
Thank you. I think now I'm on.
Yeah, thank you. We can hear you loud.
Yeah, I hope I'm not upside down, that I'm seated properly. So good morning. How are you, all of us?
Morning,
I want to take this opportunity to
good morning.
Yeah, to most sincerely thank the UN fraternity in Kenya and our team within the education sector for having thought of this particular discussion. This is very important for us when we talk about STEM. That is where the future is. I know this is an activity that has been running for quite a number of 2, 3, 4 years. We've been doing it mostly in our girls' schools. I know we did one in Moi Girls Eldred. We did one. We were to do one this year in Tumutumu Girls, mainly to mentor our girls in issues of STEM. But I'm very happy that we, all of us as stakeholders in this very important sector, have come together, and that we have widened the scope so that even our boy child also benefits from this particular mentorship. Sometimes we have an assumption that the boys are okay with STEM. It may not necessarily be the case. And I can tell you some of the best performers in STEM areas are our girls. If you can go back and check the results of last year's KCSE, the Kenya High School, which is a girls' school, did very well in the STEM area. While we are using some of our most successful women and ladies to mentor girls, I think we also need to look at opportunities in schools where STEM is performing very well within our girls' schools, so that we have a peer mentorship where the young ones are mentoring themselves within themselves. This way we shall be able to encourage more of them. I'm aware of what the Cabinet Secretary said last week when we were launching the placements to universities. There are certain courses which may have been indicated as having not attracted students, I know with time we've been able to check to say what are the reasons that these programs are not attracting adequate numbers. And we are ensuring that one of the things that we need to do is to ensure that we have a proper guidance to our students as they grow all the way from primary to secondary. And I can assure you that with the CBC now, the competence-based curriculum, we shall start early to socialize our children into these particular areas, so that as they grow up into the pathways that are there, they'll be growing up knowing. So once again, members, I don't want to say so much. I want to appreciate what we are all doing, what we are doing to ensure that one, our girl child is properly mentored. Two is that we don't leave behind our boy child in the process, as one of them myself, that we guide them and grow with them, and that they become part of the mentors and making our girls know that STEM is an area for everybody. I know there are myths that STEM is not meant for the girl child, but I can tell you, if you go to Kenya High School and go and see the results of the KCSE that we just released, they are almost top on sciences, just like anybody else would be top. So once again, let's look at the future. I know there is Generation Equal Opportunity campaign. Let's continue with it. Generation Unlimited, let's work with them so that we can all have a community of advocates into STEM, because that is where the future is. And if we have to succeed on CPC, competence-based curriculum, which has pathways, and STEM is one of the critical pathways, that pathway should be open to all our children. We should not create a perception that it is meant for a particular gender. It is meant for our children, because when we invest in these young ones, we invest in the future. And that investment into the future should be an equal opportunity for both the male child and the female gender, so that we all create a future that is giving us a level playing ground of that particular return on this investment. So once again, Chair, once again, our Regional Director, UNESCO, and all of us in this particular engagement, we say thank you for bringing us together into this discussion. Once again, I will be here with you as long as all of us can be, so that we can be able to tap into the knowledge of all these beautiful people. I can see my colleague Nancy is there, and the rest of us, and we can tap into this and see how we move forward. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Kip Song. And we sincerely applaud your sincere support right from the beginning for the STEM education program from your department. Certainly, with your support, I mean, we'll progress well. Now I shall invite Madam Antares Dongjata, Director for UNESCO Regional Office in Eastern Africa, as well as UNESCO representative to Kenya.
Hii kitu ya kuongea, but my speaker has been talking, lakini inasema your speaker.
I'm sorry, I don't know, someone is interrupting, but yeah. I shall invite Madam Antares Natongjata, Director, UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa and UNESCO representative to Kenya, to give her opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Jaya, and good morning to all of you, the RC, the PS, the mentors that are with us, the representatives from the National Commission, NACOSTI. I believe also we had invited the senior advisor, Dr. Ruth Kagia. I don't know whether she made it this time. And just taking on. Oh, you're here. Oh, that's very good. I'm very happy you have joined us today. This is a very, very important webinar. It's one that speaks to everything we're trying to do for our young people. It's also important that in really working together for the COVID response, we are not only trying to fix little problems and leave out very important ones. When we talk about the Big Four agenda, when we talk about Generation Unlimited, when we talk about equality, we really need to consider content. And this is the reason why this webinar is so very important. And we felt that before we actually get the programs on the radio, we are together to reflect. And as the PS has mentioned, I know each time we talk about focusing on the girl child, we do get these kind of remarks, especially from our male colleagues, which is really very appropriate. And what we are doing is not really leaving behind the boys, but we just want to make sure we give additional mentoring. And once we are able to build the confidence of girls, is so much easier for them to relate better and to see what career choices there are out there. And so PS, I just want to reassure you that the male gender is on board, but we do not want to leave anyone behind. And when it comes to leaving those that should fall behind, it is essentially the female gender. So just to give you my reassurance and to say that this is an effort that has been collective, and we are trying to make sure we anchor it in everything we do within the UNCT and provide the support to government that is required and its institutions to ensure that we build the capacity of our young people to really value what they do in school and to link it with career choices. I will be having this conversation later on also with the RC who is listening on, because as we talk about the education system we have, as we look at priority areas that's linked to the world of work and industry, maybe it's about time to have a conversation with government to begin to look at how we can introduce the dual system. And the dual system is essentially not to make what we offer very dry and uninteresting, but have a system as is practiced in Germany, where employment rate is just about 4% as a result of this approach, and in most of the Nordic countries, is that very early on in life, in the school system, we try to make sure that our young people are exposed to industry, to really make sense of what they are doing and to relate it to future career paths. This, so if it is adopted here in Kenya, and I hope in the sub-region, we would really ensure that our young people get more excited, because school and schooling is becoming something not so interesting. And with technology today, we should be really mining all of what's out there to see how we can get young people, even as they are learning, to build their skills and to really have some experience in the world of work. It requires a lot of organization, but this is possible. And this is where I really appreciate the mentors. I have attended one or two of the camps, and it's really mind-opening for anyone who sits through and see how the young people are engaging with the mentors and the outcome of all this mentoring. As has been alluded to, the cabinet secretary has actually also made reference to the fact that courses in STEM, as has been mentioned by the PS, is not really on an uptake. So this is something that should be worrisome. We are in COVID-19, and we know that much of what we have to do today and for future pandemics requires that we come with scientific knowledge, that we really get engaged in scientific research. And so therefore, I believe in responding to the CS, we can really examine a few of the courses that we would need, even as we speak about COVID-19. Of course, these would include courses in technology, building construction, renewable energy. On the issue of water, we have Jaya there championing water management. All of this needs good scientific background. Last week we had a webinar that was looking at oceans in celebrating Oceans Day. And you know, when you go to the universities, there's a dearth of marine scientists, there's a dearth of hydrologists, and it can go on and on. How do we fix our agriculture? How do we fix our health system? How do we fix development in general? We need scientific knowledge, and this is something that we must really trump home so that young people realize that it is not only to go in and pick up some easy subjects to pass. No, we have to engage them to build a capacity to really challenge themselves to, you know, solution-oriented engagements. And the same is true for teachers. And we have seen this improving, as has also been alluded to. Generally, I would not try to say too much. For me here, I just want to really also situate the importance of what we're doing here today with the context of the approach that even at the level of government championing Generation Unlimited, this comes in. We cannot really engage our young people if we do not really begin to help them to see what are the opportunities to really continue after school, or you know, have a flexible entry and re-entry system where young people can navigate between university, the world of work, TVET, and be back. Because really the old approach of just going all through school before you start looking for a job has not worked very well in Africa at all. We also have generation equality campaigns, and all of these bring together two different areas that we must really try to gel. Yes, I take the challenge of equality and not leaving the boys behind, but really more there is the girls, and also to some extent persons with disability. Let me conclude by thanking, of course, the Kenya National Commission. They've been with us on this journey from the very beginning. We also want to thank NACOSTI, the Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, doing a very great job here in Kenya. We also have our L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science program, and Safari Commerce has been mentioned by the chair. And all of these have been working with us and really helping us to promote STEM education. To the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation also, let me also appreciate the fact that they have really worked very closely with us, and the community radios, we are relying on all of them to advocate for behavior change in community towards the importance of equal access to and uptake of STEM by both boys and girls. I think this is beautiful in that once you have the radios and the TV all on board, it would not really be selective of just the female gender. Let me also thank the mentors. They have really been faithful with us, being there with us, helping to really tell the story, helping to encourage our girls. And in encouraging our girls, they compete with the boys. So no fears again. P.S. I will keep repeating this until the end of my statement so that you really understand that we are for all the young people. We are not leaving the boys behind, but when we bring up the girls, it really makes the competition more interesting, and it really builds their confidence, because the boys also need very confident wives. They need to also have wives that will contribute to the household income, and wives that will help to solve problems. And the nation as a whole need young people that will definitely be the change agent. We need to rethink development, and we cannot do that without really investing in young people, the young minds, scientific research, scientific knowledge and skills to really build a new generation and to respond to the Big Four agenda. It's not the adults that will do it, it's the young people with all the innovation we have seen in their response to COVID-19. There is hope for the future. And lastly, let me also thank once again our RC. He has really been formidable, being by us and really pushing the very good initiatives that's happening here in Kenya, worthy of emulation in our sub-region. And we hope that through the UNCTs as well, we'll be able to link up with other UNCTs in really promoting this very important agenda. Let me thank the PS, and let me thank my good friend Ruth Kagia. I know with Ruth there in the Secretariat for Generation Unlimited, we will really rise to higher heights. For those who do not know her, I know her and I've worked with her, and I know whatever is a priority is really seen to the very end. So thank you, Ruth, for joining us. We missed you the last time, but we know you are with us in spirit. I will now really just hand over to the chair as we proceed for the launch of this important work. Thank you very much. Jaya, over to you.
Thank you very much, Antares. I mean, working with you, I know how much passion you have for the education and especially for STEM for girls. Really, we appreciate and we are ready to support in any way we can. I hope we'll do a better job at the end. Thank you very much once again for your remarks. Now, I shall invite Dr. Joel, who is the director of KICD, to give his remarks. Dr. Joel. Dr. Joel, you are there?
Go ahead, and if he joins later, or is it a she, right? It's a she, right? Okay. You can move on and get somebody else.
Okay, thank you. I mean, let's wait for Dr. Joel to join. In the meantime, I invite Mr. Kennedy, who is a representative from Safaricom, to give his remarks. Mr. Kennedy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be part of this. It's been an interesting journey from the time we started conversing with UNESCO through Dr. Alice. What struck me is the passion, as it's clearly coming out. Everyone here is very passionate about this space of providing advancement of STEM for all learners, with a keen interest on the groups that have been left behind, specifically the women in this case. So from a Safaricom perspective, when we started engaging with UNESCO, we realized there's a huge gap that can be filled by technology partners. In this case, Safaricom can play a very critical role in trying to get to the most marginalized people. So when you look at the approach of broadcast media, for example, if you're having programs running through KBC or other broadcast media, or let's just call them maybe community radio stations, a program might run for an hour or 30 minutes or however long it runs, but then there's the question of how do you continue this engagement beyond the program on broadcast media? So how do you keep it interactive? Then that's where now leveraging the platforms that are provided by telecommunication companies like Safaricom come in. So in this case, we'll be essentially keeping the conversation going to make it as interactive as possible by providing the technology that bridges the gap between the mentors and the learners, or the recipients and beneficiaries of this. And through the same digital platform, trying to ensure that this can also be monitored. We do not want to make conclusions without numbers, but when we have this kind of platform, we're able to see which learners are actually engaging, and are there interventions that we need to pivot to be able to reach even more. So if you're thinking about community radio stations, these are essentially going to channel the program to the communities, and then now through a USSD and shortcodes, the community and the viewership, listenership can essentially tap into where the conversation has started, and the learners can engage the mentors directly for questions which are not clear, when they don't have a chance to ask a question, so the conversation can be sustainable, not just even during this COVID period, even beyond, to the extent that the culture of adoption of STEM is driven even further to be able to strengthen our economy, because as we all know, STEM is very critical towards development through innovation, entrepreneurship, making learners become the doers and innovators of the future. So essentially, you cannot be an innovator, or you wouldn't be as empowered as you would be if you are held by hand by a mentor. So what we're providing here is a digital platform that will essentially accentuate the work that has been going on with UNESCO, as well as make it sustainable to the extent that it's going to stick and not just be a one-off kind of solution. So I'm very happy to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to what every other partner will be doing to ensure that this is not just a webinar, but it goes beyond being a webinar and has impact. And the lessons from this can even be scaled across the continent and other developing nations. So on behalf of Safaricom, I'm very glad you're part of this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. I mean, we really appreciate the support, what we are getting it from the Safaricom right from the beginning for our STEM mentorship initiative. Certainly, we look forward for your support. Now, I shall invite Dr. Evangeline Njoka, the Secretary General, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, to give her remarks. Dr. Njoka. Dr. Njoka.
I think Kenya Dr. James is speaking, but the mic is off. Can you unmute your mic, please?
Dr. James, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, you can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you clear and louder, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm James Njogu representing Dr. Njoka. She has another meeting that she has attended. So I'll read part of her speech. May I first of all recognize the PS, Dr. Belio, the Director of UNESCO Regional Office for East Africa, Antares, and distinguished participants. We all know the importance of STEM education, and we are all converted. And we are aware of the recent report from the Commission for University Education that shows that the number of students in Kenya University studying STEM course is less than 25%. To improve this, NATCOM has been working with partners such as UNESCO Regional Office for East Africa and ACOSTI to encourage secondary school students to take up STEM courses when they join universities and colleges. One of the reasons attributed to low uptake of STEM courses is the misconception that they are hard, and for girls, this is compounded by the stereotype that they are not smart enough for STEM field, which is not true. One successful approach to debunk these myths is by exposing students to role model and mentors. Many children have no language of exposure to the many and diverse career fields in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So even if they are interested and show aptitude, they might not end up in STEM without some encouragement. For the last 5 years, NATCOM has been supporting STEM mentorship camps for girls, where 2,600 girls in 191 secondary schools in 41 counties have been mentored by distinguished women scientists and engineers. Reviews from mentees and teachers have been positive, and a number of beneficiaries of this program have taken up STEM courses. Need for mentorship is huge, and for it to reach a bigger population of school-going girls and boys, another approach beyond the mentorship camp is required, and especially in context of COVID. The current digital approach via radio, television, and YouTube will certainly reach millions of learners and parents who also have influence on children's career choice. Many months of school closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many cause loss of STEM among the learners. And activities like this will keep the STEM flame alive. So we really also appreciate the organizing of this meeting. It's so healthy and very important for us to know the way forward. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, thank you very much, Dr. James. I mean, we appreciate all the support, whatever we are getting it from UNESCO National Commission for Kenya. You are always lending all your possible support to run this program. We sincerely thank you very much, and the National Commission people for your support. And now I would like to invite Professor Walter, Director General of NACOSTI, to give his remarks. Professor Walter.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just allow me also first to recognize our PS, Dr. Belio Kipsang, also to appreciate Madam Ann-Therese, Mr. Siddharth, Madam Alice Ochanda, Dr. Ruth Kagia. I think we had some interaction with Ruth almost 7 years ago, and therefore I'm happy to meet her once more in this forum. Also to acknowledge the presence of Madam Nancy Karigithu, and also the Chief Natural Science Programs boss or the launch chair. Distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Mr. Chairman, being both an engineer and somebody who belongs to the academia, this is indeed very exciting to me, and I would hence like to thank you for the invitation to the webinar launch of the digital approach or platform to STEM mentorship in Kenya. We note that this digital approach to
Professor Walter, we can't hear you. Professor Walter?
Could be it's muted because of power cuts or Wi-Fi disconnection. You can move on and bring him back on later.
Okay. In that case, I was just informed that Dr. Joel from KICD is online, and so that I could invite Dr. Joel from KICD.
Something went wrong. I'm back. Chair?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Walter.
I don't know what happened, but it is back.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Walter. I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah, we just want to commend you, UNESCO, and the technical teams involved, including the KBC, for having considered this approach or intervention as the best way of ensuring continuity in the STEM mentorship. It's a clear affirmation of UNESCO's commitment in its endeavor to build peace, eradicate poverty, and drive sustainable development agenda. We cannot overemphasize the need for STEM uptake by students joining universities, taking note that increased uptake of STEM has a direct positive impact on promoting science, technology, and innovation, and hence the achievement of Kenya's Vision 2030 and development goals. This indeed falls within NACOSTI's mandate of promoting, regulating, advising on, and coordinating science, technology, and innovation activities in Kenya. At NACOSTI, we want to assure you that our partnership, which we began all the way back in 2015, will continue to its fruitful climax, taking note that so far all regions of the country have been covered and a large number of secondary school girls have been mentored in STEM. Further, NACOSTI has been hosting the Science and Technology Week, where a sub-theme has been dedicated specially to matters of STEM education, with the objective of promoting STEM skills for creation, for job creation and economic empowerment. We recognize that mentoring of secondary and university students is important in influencing the decision to pursue STEM disciplines, and hence transforming into champions of the ongoing fourth industrial revolution. NACOSTI has also hosted the Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World in their first anniversary meeting, and we will endeavor to enhance partnerships with other like-minded organizations, such as the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and I know their new president is really willing to partner in this program of STEM and women in science and engineering. We will also endeavor to encourage our friends in Japan. I think NACOSTI has a collaborative arrangement with Japan Society for the promotion of science. So we look forward to working with UNESCO and other partners in this great endeavor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Walter. I mean, now we have Dr. Joel from KACD. Can I invite Dr. Joel, please? Yes, sir, we could see you, but you need to mute your, unmute your mic, please. Can you unmute your mic? We can't hear you. No, you have muted your mic. You have muted. You need to unmute your mic.
Andrew, is it possible to unmute his mic as the administrator?
No, we can. Yes, sir. Now you are unmuted your mic. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to recognize the presence of our PS, Dr. Belio Kipsang, the presence of our CAS, Madam Mumina, and all distinguished guests present in this session. Just allow me to make a few remarks with regard to this ongoing discussion. First is that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics pathway is central to the country's achievement of the goals of Vision 2030, and therefore promoting the teaching of sciences, information technology, and technical and vocational skills is essential if we as a country have to move towards industrialization, economic growth, and social development. Within the context of CBC, your initiative is going to be very timely for us so that we can have more students have an interest, develop an interest in STEM. Where we are in the implementation of CBC now, as we move towards the upper primary and move to lower secondary, and then we start the senior school and go into the pathways that are there.
I think he got disconnected. Dr. Joel? Shall we wait for a minute or? Dr. Joel?
You just continue, and when he comes back, you give him. I think there's a problem with the Wi-Fi.
Okay, thank you very much. And we shall wait for Dr. Joel to join. In the meantime, we invite Dr. Ruth Kagia, Deputy Chief of Staff, Policy and Strategy, Executive Officer of the President of Kenya, to give her remarks. Dr. Ruth?
Thank you very much, everybody. It looks like my video is not working, but I hope you can hear me. It's good to join in this discussion for several reasons. And I'm very pleased to note that what UNESCO is doing with this program is important beyond just mentoring young people on the importance of STEM programs. At this time when there is so much uncertainty, and at a time when young people have so much idle time, anything that we do that helps to maintain their interest, to keep them engaged, has, in a sense, much greater value and much greater receptivity than at normal times when when a program like this will be competing again, is other interests. So the timing of this is perfect. The second reason why I'm very pleased about this program is that even at its best, 22% of our learners are being in STEM programs is already too little. For an economy that is aiming to industrialize, for a world that is increasingly getting into the fourth industrial revolution, where science-based programs are going to be what is going to drive competitiveness and what is going to accelerate development, 22% is already too low. So from the outset, Dr. Kipsang, we need to perhaps look at that statistic a bit more seriously and ask, could we increase it a little bit, maybe to about 30%? More worrisome is the statement by the minister last week that even courses that were initially very popular and seen as the way forward, they seem to have suddenly lost their luster. What is driving that decline? Is it that the facilities at the universities perhaps have not risen to the occasion? Is it that those who have taken those courses didn't get the jobs they required? Is it that maybe the what is required in terms of admission, a lot of students don't have? I think it's important to get at that because we already started with a very low base and we cannot afford to go further down. Thirdly, it would be good to hear a little bit from UNESCO. How is this going to be done, particularly at this transitional period with COVID-19? How is the program going to be done? How are you going to get the young people engaging with the mentors? And as they engage with the mentors, it will be useful perhaps to be providing not just the mentors themselves, important as that is, but examples of jobs that they could get into in very, very concrete terms. One of the programs that is I'm very close to is the one that PS Nancy Karigitho leads on the maritime jobs, seafarers. It's very attractive, and once young people learn about it, the numbers just kept increasing. So getting a very concrete sense of what jobs are out there, maybe to the extent that data is available, showing how those people who go into those programs end up getting jobs faster and end up getting jobs that are better paying. We need to get a bit more granular in this engagement to begin to break through these the bottlenecks that may be driving the decline. And then finally, I'm just wondering, beyond mentoring, beyond the direct individuals that we are going to reach, it might be worth it, again, at this time when we are spending a lot of time in front of cameras and TVs and so on, to just do snippets that kind of highlight young men and women who have gone into these STEM courses. Yesterday there was a presentation by a young person who had established a company in recording and has now done a very good photographic studio. And it was very simple, but it just shows what could be done. Could you perhaps get some space to begin to spotlight some of the most successful individuals, young people who have gone into these programs and are either doing something themselves or they have been able to contribute to some important innovation as a way of beginning to get us interested. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing more about how this evolves. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. Thank you for your support. In the next session, Mrs. Alice Ochanda from UNESCO, she'll explain how UNESCO is planning to approach this digitally on the STEM mentorship camp. In the next session, you can hear more details from her. And now I would like to, I'm just seeing Dr. Joel from KICD who has joined back. Can I invite Dr. Joel from KICD to finish his remarks? Dr. Joel?
Thank you so much, Chair of Session. Quite unfortunate I exited a bit there. But Chair, what I was saying is just to affirm that the position of STEM within our industrial development and within our country setup cannot be gainsaid. It is very crucial. And I was also highlighting that within the CBC context, it is very timely that this program is coming up so that we can be able to interest learners and also change the mindset of even parents and guardians who at most will look at STEM with the disinterest. And in the program of implementation of CBC, we are looking forward that when it comes to senior schools in 2026, we'll already have built enough understanding and appreciation of STEM within our populace, and therefore be able to move our country to the next level by having more students taking up STEM. Also just wanted to mention that as you do this, my just suggestion is that we balance out STEM within the CBC context. STEM has 4 tracks. The tracks that one of the tracks is pure sciences, technical engineering is the other track, applied science, then careers and technology. So I just hope that as we embark on rolling out this, we should be able to balance among these tracks that form STEM so that it comes out clearly. Lastly, just to give a suggestion that KICD can also play a role in this through what we have as a education channel we call Edu TV, is a TV that's dedicated for education. And I just hope that as you roll out this, that can also be an avenue that KICD is offering so that we can be able to reach the huge catchment that we have in terms of students. I want to thank you and look forward to hearing more about this and also for KICD to play its role during the rollout. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Joel. I mean, we sincerely appreciate your offer to use your channel. Mrs. Alice Ochanda, I mean, she'll get back to you when she fully design and everything. So certainly, we thank you very much for KICD for offering this support for us. I would like to invite Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, who's an UN resident coordinator to Kenya, to give his remarks. Siddharth.
Thank you, Jaya. Ruth Kagia, Anne Therese, Mr. Kipsang, the Principal Secretary, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps a prudent starting point would be the good old saying, educate a man, you've educated an individual. Educate a woman, a girl, you've educated a family, a community, and a nation. That holds good. That's the should I say, the formula for nation states to see progress. And we've seen that. We've seen it in Kenya. I don't want to name the community, but there is one community which banned FGM much earlier on. If you look at the women of this particular community today, they have walked into all spheres of life in terms of leadership, in terms of growth, in terms of economic potential, in terms of prosperity. And it's in Kenya we've seen it happen. And that is precisely what we need to see magnify elsewhere. Today, we are having this meeting with the leadership of 2 women, Anne Therese, the UNESCO regional director, and Ruth Kagia on the other side, who works in the office of the president. They were given the right opportunities from childhood, and look at where they've come to. They've got the finest degrees. One was a minister, one has a Harvard Kennedy School degree, led the World Bank, the other one is leading UNESCO. The potential that it unleashes is humongous. We've also got proof, the evidence is there, that when women who are leading countries in response to the COVID-19 countries have tended to do much better. It's there as evidence. Quite clearly, what COVID is also showing us is the vitality and the importance of STEM. The importance of the centrality of public health, the centrality of technology, innovation, and big data, so that we can leapfrog in the multiple dimensions, be it in the space of public health, be it in the Big Four agenda of Kenya, be it for Agenda 2063. But the underlying feature would be equality. That equality, that generation equality, in 2020, we are looking at Beijing plus 25. We are still talking about equality globally. It is not just a Kenyan problem, but to me, Kenya can show the way. Kenya is a beacon of hope. And what it needs is actually affirmative action. Affirmative action of women in the public policy space, women in the political space. I repeat myself and I'll repeat again. We must pass the 2/3 gender bill, because women in power, women in authority will be the drivers of change. The fact is, the president of this country hosted the International Conference for Population and Development last year, a landmark event 25 years after what happened in Cairo. He's made a commitment that he wants to see the end of FGM in this country. What that would do to generation equality, what that would do to advancing the women in the workforce, in the education sphere, will be monumental. Nation states that have grown rich are where, at the micro level, where a man and women earn an income, and therefore there is more savings, there's more disposable income, better education, nutrition, health outcomes for their children, you get better human capital. It is as simple as that. So I commend the government of Kenya and UNESCO coming together to push this agenda. Ruth Kagia is leading on the Generation Unlimited on behalf of Kenya. It is clear that Kenya is actually being seen as a poster child of a country using its political capital to move this agenda forward. Generation Unlimited will not succeed unless the primacy of education and training is properly entrenched in the whole demography. But a demography that is left behind is the girl child. There's nothing about the boy child being left behind. We need affirmative action to first get equality. And that is going to be critical. So once again, my sincere thanks to UNESCO for this critical initiative, because without this, we will not succeed in Generation Unlimited. Without this, we will not succeed in the Big Four agenda. Without this, we will not succeed with the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals. And Vision 2030 will remain a mere vision and not realized if we don't ensure that the girl child is fully empowered through STEM. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Siddharth. I mean, certainly we look forward to work with UN country team, as well as with all UN partners in taking this agenda forward. Now, I would like to invite PS, Dr. Bellio, to introduce the CS and CS representative for this meeting. Dr. Bellio.
Thank you very much, RC, on coordinating us on this very important, again, meeting. It has been beneficial what we've heard from all our colleagues. But on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary requested the Chief Administrative Secretary, Momina Bonaya, to be able to take lead on his behalf on this particular engagement. So I will request Bonaya to be able to, on our own right, as one of our people in the sector, as an educationist, will be able to give us some of our own comments, coming from a region where we have had challenges with the girl child, and therefore trying to see some of the efforts that have been put in to ensure that we give our girl child an equal opportunity, notwithstanding where they come from in this particular country, but also that every child has an opportunity to grow and to be what they want to be and to realize their full potential. So once again, I would want to request Momina, on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary, to give a statement and pick it up from there. Karibu, CS.
Thank you, Dr. Bellio. Thank you, everyone. It's a very interesting conversation. I've been following it from the beginning. I'd like to make a statement on behalf of my CS, the Cabinet Secretary. Of course, it was his wish to join this meeting, but because of other commitment, he was not able to. So I'll just add to the conversation that we've had. There's been a very interesting observation made in this conversation. So I would like to say that government in Africa and Kenya in particular have recognized that STEM education is a key driver for achieving Africa's Agenda 2063, SDG 4, and essentially all other SDGs, and the Vision 2030 and other strategic goals that is geared towards sustainable development. As you all know, the government of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta recently redirected focus and resources to the Big Four agendas. And you know that the success of this government initiative is heavily pegged on availability of a well-trained and skilled human resource. So to succeed in manufacturing, to succeed in food security, health, and infrastructure, our education system must be able to comfortably offer STEM-related courses. As we've observed, learners for no apparent reason tend to develop anxiety about science and math while they're in school. And most of the time, this affects decision to pursue the science subject and even whether or not students succeed. Recently, I was involved in the 100% transition campaign where we all went out to ensure that every child is in class. And what we observed is that girls and learners from disadvantaged communities are more likely to discontinue with school. And I think that's why President is very much passionate about the transition aspect of our education. And as you've seen, the data from COOPS also shows that students admitted to STEM courses in the universities, girls only account for 36.6%. And if you look at tertiary institution, again, it's skewed away from the girl child. So this clearly shows that, of course, there's a challenge when it comes to acquiring parity between the boy child and the girl child. And I think our PS has also mentioned the progress we are making on this. He mentioned Kenya High, you know, how girls are doing well in those areas, STEM areas. But again, this brings me to observation that, yes, it's good to encourage girls and boys to take up STEM subjects. And I think it's also good that we are beginning to realize progress on these. But again, are we able to look at the girls we are targeting to see whether we are also giving focus to areas that are largely marginalized and they have very little opportunity to actually embrace STEM as subject? I know the mentorship that is happening, of course, targets the entire country, but what extra are we doing to encourage these girls from marginalized areas more? Because they already are experiencing a lot of challenges. Like I've mentioned, while we were doing the 100% transition campaign, we observed that. Having said that, the government, I would like to say, is focused on increasing funding for STEM related courses at all levels. These efforts, just to mention a few, include the identification, funding, and support of secondary schools that will form a STEM hub, an innovative curriculum that has a dedicated STEM pathway, as mentioned by PS Bellio. And this pathway is to support the identification, promotion, and support for students that show an inclination towards the STEM field areas. And then there's also a differentiated capitation to the universities, depending on the courses offered in favor of STEM. We also have a deliberate focus on mid-level tertiary courses that support the STEM ecosystem, with a bigger focus on diploma and craft courses that provide hands-on practical skills for spurring production and economic growth, e.g. the establishment of TVETA is basically to coordinate that. So again, during this COVID period, the Ministry of Education through Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development is leading the response to ensure continued access to education for all children in the country during the closure of the learning institution. And this is done through the dissemination of educational content on online platform for teaching and learning. Again, I would like to appreciate the acting CEO, because he's made an offer for this program to reach out to the platforms that KICD is currently using to reach the learners because of its probably wider reach. So there's use of television, we have the Edu channel, radios, mobile phones, that is now becoming the medium of instruction by teachers who have recorded their lessons for dissemination to students through virtual lessons. And my PS mentioned this. Again, on Tuesday, 2nd June 2020, the Minister for Education, Professor Magoa, during the launch of COOP's report on the 2020 university admission, pointed out that some degree courses such as Bachelor of Science in Entrepreneurship, Bachelor of Science, Energy Technology, Bachelor of Science in Automotive Technology are among the degree courses taught in Kenyan public universities that received either a few or zero application by last year's 122,000 plus qualified Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education candidates. So statistically speaking, the overall university admission in STEM indicates that male candidates account for 63.41% of the students who will pursue STEM program, whereas 36.59% are female. So they still need to give focus to the girl child, of course, without leaving the boy child behind. So the digital STEM program launch that is being done today is very useful, and it brings together various partners in STEM mentorship program spearheaded by UNESCO and the Ministry of Education to ensure that the mentorship program continues during this COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's important that we don't lose the momentum because of pandemic. So it is expected that the mentors will reach over 10,000 learners through these through various platforms, including TV, community radio station, SMS, and other interactive programs, and that it will run for 11 weeks beginning June 2020. And it's important that this program will reach both male and female learners, unlike the previous one, which targeted mainly girls. However, the use of successful ladies who have made it in the science world as mentors should be encouraged, because this is expected to encourage girls, the girl child, to appreciate the STEM subjects. So we should not lose that component. So the ministry is therefore encouraging learners who are currently at home to use the available time in continuous learning through use of technology. The ministry also calls upon parents, teachers, and other guardians to support the learners through these digital channels, among others. Therefore, it's my hope that many learners will benefit immensely from this interactive program. Our girls will indeed benefit from the mentors, who are mostly ladies, and this should encourage most of them to venture into the science field. And lastly, I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to all partners who have made this program successful. Special appreciation to UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern and Central Africa, NACOSTI, NATCOM, KICD, Microsoft, the media fraternity, especially KBC, who are currently supporting this launch, and all other stakeholders. So with those few remarks, I would like to say thank you once again, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Momina, to give the powerful statement from CS. We really appreciate whatever you said. I mean, now With this, we are coming to the end of the first session. Now, I shall request Mr. Saidu Jalo from UNESCO Regional Office to take over to moderate the second session. And once again, finally, I would like to thank everyone, thank every speakers for their valuable statements. Thank you very much once again. Mr. Saidu.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jaya. My voice is echoing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clear and loud.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saidu Jalo, Head of Education Sector at the UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa. I will say that I'll be moderating the next session as indicated by my colleague Jaya. But let me first recognize the presence of the UNRC, Therese, Regional Director, Ruth Kagia, the President, and let me also recognize the PS Maritime Affairs, who was mentioned earlier. I'm mentioning her primarily because she is one of the mentors of the program. PS Education is, I'm recognizing him along with his other colleagues at the Ministry of the other PSCs at the Ministry of Education. Let me just say also that this program is a joint effort between the education sector and the science sector of UNESCO at the office here based in Kenya, Nairobi, and Dr. Alice would be presenting. Will give a brief presentation of the program. You will notice that invitation letters contains a lot of information about what the program is, but we thought it would be good for her to put life to that during this launch. So she's slotted in to give a short presentation. Alice, as you present, you might want to also keep in mind probably responding to some of the questions that were raised or issues raised by Ruth Kagia in particular, and any other that you may have noticed. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, this is my pleasure to invite Dr. Alice Ochanda, who is driving this effort at the level of UNESCO, to give a very brief presentation of the program. Thank you very much, and we'll have question and answer after our short presentation. Dr. Alice, you are most welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Saidu, the Chief Administrative Secretary, the PS, Dr. Belio Kipsang, Dr. Ruth Kagia, the UN Resident Coordinator, all protocols observed. I will take this opportunity to just give you a brief, a brief presentation about this program. And when I had the question from Dr. Kagia, and I said, wow, that's very good, because then that gives us the opportunity to talk about this program. And I thank everyone who is here today and all the, those who have committed to participating. It shows your commitment to this particular program. Now, this program, as Dr. Kipsang had said at the beginning, it started in 2014, and UNESCO and the government of Kenya have been mentoring students, and particularly girls, in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, with the COVID-19 coming to interrupt our planned programs, we had to to come up with a strategy, of a way of ensuring that we still continue to engage our students in STEM. And as again he had mentioned, we were supposed to have gone to Central region, which was the last region that we had to go to with our the first phase of our mentorship program. And so we decided that yes, we need to support the government as UNESCO. We need to support the government to continue with this STEM mentorship program. But how do we do it? We have the students who are out there, and KICD is rolling out the educational content. But then again, we all do understand that at times like this, when you have to come up, continue, ensure that learning continues, you also tend to forget some of those tiny little things that tend to be taken for granted. The fact that yes, there's that need for direct interaction with the students. They're those students who need probably more mentorship and more nurturing to ensure that they continue to sustain the interest that they have in a subject, and also to just convince them that they can make it in that particular subject. And that is normally done by the teachers. Now, our program has always been to complement what the teachers are doing and to really complement the overall work of the Ministry of Education in as far as promoting science, technology, and innovation is concerned. So we decided that we need to reach out and use technology, because currently the world revolves around technology. And so we felt that since the mentors cannot go to these students, we'll still take the mentors to the students through technology. And so we designed a program where we are going to have a digital interaction with the students. The mentors are recording their voices and through audio and visual presentations. And these are supposed to be aired to the students through the television. We are using KBC, the Kenya Broadcasting Television Corporation, because that is the same channel that is being used by the KICD to disseminate its educational content. Now, our main objective is really to keep students connected to STEM during this COVID-19 pandemic. We do not want them to forget the importance of STEM. We want to try and unlock their potential in STEM. We want to give them the information that they need to have, even as they study, to sit for their examinations. And so we also realized in the process that there are, even as you provide that educational content through radio and television, there's a likelihood of many students again not being reached. And that was one of the reasons why we decided to go with the KBC. Now, to reach those who are really in marginalized areas, we adopted the community radios. Now, community radios do have 15 English channels. And so there will be direct airing of the presentations and from the mentors. There are another 27 community radios that air their programs in local languages. Now, this community radios will have the program that is being aired in English translated into the local languages. And that, of course, means that the mentors have the responsibility to ensure that the presentations that they are making on their various areas of specialization is simplified in such a way that these the community radio presenters will be able to translate and then have them aired into the local languages. With that, we are sure of reaching all the students from every corner of this country, because the community radios, and there are 42 of them, they are found in each and every county in Kenya. Now, the program is targeting girls, but of course we know that we cannot segregate the girls as now it is going to be aired throughout the country. And so there is a general perspective to the program. We are addressing STEM for all students to embrace, because of course we do understand that even the boy child, as Dr. Kipsang said earlier, is sometimes handicapped. They don't have the mentorship opportunities. And so this is also an opportunity for them to understand what the program, the STEM issues and how they can get involved. But there's an angle that keeps on emphasizing the STEM for girls. Now, it is also crucial for us to consider that these girls need to break the gender stereotypes. And in that context, we have a life and survival skills part of this particular program, where we move away from the usual science subjects, but now we address the students, both males and females, on the basis of the gender stereotypes that prohibit them from embracing some of these subjects. So what exactly do we expect? We expect to reach the over 10 million students in the country with information on STEM education. We also expect to give these students information on areas that are not really being addressed directly in school, such as climate change, mitigation and adaptation, geology, blue economy, and so that the students can see that there are other fields of STEM that they can also go into. And that we do believe that will give the students the opportunity to make informed career choices when it comes to selecting their courses for the university. And the interaction between the students and the mentors is going to be done through by channeling the traffic to the Ask a STEM Mentor platform that has been established by Safaricom that Mr. Kahura talked about earlier, so that there is that direct communication. The students can send their questions to that platform, but at the same time, the mentors on the other end would be able to see the questions and decide whether it is necessary to call the students and talk to them directly or just to answer the questions. We expect a very big traffic going through that platform. And so there will be a number of mentors on the platform, including male mentors. This is not just going to be female mentors. And I take the opportunity as I end with this information to also, introduce and thank our mentor for the blue economy, that is the PS, Madam Nancy Karigithu, who is with us here today. And she's very concerned that oceanography was not selected at Pwani University. We do hope that now she'll give the students will have the opportunity to see why oceanography is important, especially for the coastal students in the coastal region. And I also take this opportunity to thank the Vice Chancellor of Riara University, Professor Catherine Gila, who is also here with us. And as we all know, Professor Ngila is the African Union Award winner in research. And she's a chemistry professional and a good mentor in the program. And lastly, I'd like to just sincerely also, inform you that we have these mentors who are so committed. They are here with us today. They're connected from as far as Mombasa and Atlanta in the US. These are mentors who have given their time despite the presence of COVID-19. They are still very much engaged and they are working on their presentations and they are ready to support the Kenyan students to embrace STEM fields. Thank you very much. I'm ready to answer any questions that may be posed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alice, for that very interesting presentation on the program and in trying to respond to some of the issues already raised by earlier speakers. I would appreciate, just before we move on to the question and answer, I would just appreciate all the participants, particularly those who contribute to the platforms such as Safaricom, KICD, KEC, and so on. Yeah. So let me also say to the mentors, I'm sorry I did not know you were with us, but you are most welcome, and we appreciate your interest in pursuing this and ensuring equity in STEM, so that the disadvantage that girls in science and engineering and so on, subjects that they had suffered over the years were corrected. Meanwhile, the boys will also join. So in any case, we thank you very much for making yourself available for this mentorship program. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think without much ado, I think I will just let you know the floor is open. If you have any question, you could raise your hand or put or write it in the chat section. Collect them and forward them to Alice, who would also be looking at the chat section in the event there's a question that I may miss. So the floor is open. I see already Faith Langat is up. Yes, Faith, over to you.
Good morning and good afternoon to you, because it's still morning on my side. My name is Faith. I'm an STEM ambassador and currently a beneficiary of Sub-Saharan Africa Leadership Program in Germany. And I'm attached to a company that we manufacture STEM equipment. And personally, as a Kenyan girl, I'm passionate about STEM and will soon come back to Kenya. So I wanted to find out how Festo can collaborate in this noble initiative to empower our girls, and also maybe also as personally how I can be active in this initiative, because as we all know, STEM is the underpinning of manufacturing, food production, healthcare, and really so much more that we cannot live without. And especially a nation like Kenya wants to transition into a upper middle income economy. Thank you.
Good. Maybe we'll take two more questions to have three, and then Alice will respond to them. Then we take another round, if that's agreeable. Okay. Any other question or point of clarification? Okay. Whilst we wait for that, I'll just Alice, maybe you should just respond to this question quickly. Alice, okay?
Yes, thank you, Saidu. I have just, I think that's really good to hear from Faith. We are looking for people like Faith who are really female STEM professionals and who are committed to and interested in joining us, and would be happy to have her to be part of the, the group of mentors. So I've put my email address on the chat box. She can contact me, and then we see how the her program or her institution can join us in, partner with us in this particular program.
I think, Sedu, you should bring in Mika. I made reference to marine science, oceanography, and he has a question there. Mika, please.
Yes, Mika, over to you.
Well, it was not particularly linked to this presentation. It was directed to Dr. Nancy Karigethu. There's been the concern on almost zero applications for the blue economy related courses. Oceanography at Pwani, fisheries, I think at Eldoret, and aquatic sciences at and aquaculture at Kisii University. How do you address this and get the students more interested? Because this really is a new developing field. And it's a concern that's not only in Kenya here. Discussing with other colleagues, they're experiencing similar reductions in applications in Madagascar, in Tanzania, and in Comoros.
Thank you, Mika. Alice, you want to respond to that? Is it okay?
Thank you,
How
Saidu.
do
I
we?
think this is very interesting, and I would like PS Nancy to respond to it. This is something that we've been discussing, but also we do understand that these are areas that students have not been, made aware of, and they're not even touched on in school, within the school curriculum. And I think this also sets a challenge for us. It is high time. I think the Ministry of Education should think of also introducing some of these subjects to enable students know the other available opportunities, that they can go into. And the good thing with our program is that as the mentors present the three components, one is really what the topic is all about, and how the students can join, the subject combinations that can make them join the respective STEM courses. And lastly, which I think I forgot to mention this, the program also gives the students the opportunity to know, there's a lot of noise, the mic is on, the opportunity to know the available employment opportunities within the STEM fields that they may choose. So this is one of the things that, is done within the presentations. But I'd like Mrs. Karigidu to talk more to this, to answer Mika's question, because she's also responsible for education and training and maritime affairs. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Mika, for that question. And of course, one or two other people have mentioned about the lack of interest in ocean-based, ocean science in the universities. Now, let me first say that this is a beautiful program, and I'm proud to have been part of it from 2015. I want to say that we've seen among the students that we've tutored and the ones we've talked about, we've seen growing interest. So all is not lost, just that we've not managed perhaps to reach everybody. And to say that when young people are thinking about the future, when they are in school and they are looking towards transitioning into the professional courses and the skills development areas, they are guided or influenced by how they will translate into work, into the workspace. Now, we know that a lot of them know the regular courses. They know courses in law, they know courses in medicine, they know courses in teaching, because they've identified and they know people. They've watched people who did those courses and they've seen how they've progressed, in the work world and in life generally. So we find that it's a bit challenging when we're trying to explain to students, but we don't have live examples of people who have gone through courses. I know I did law myself because when I was 10 years old, there used to be a program in Swahili about courts roundup. And there was this, lady magistrate then called Efe Majisu. And she caught my imagination because when KBC would report on how she's dealt with cases, I was encouraged to do law. So this program becomes very, very useful in terms of bringing the careers in the maritime sector close to the people, to the young people as their imagination is developing and they are able to see. When we started the marine engineering degree at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in 2013, I can assure you that it was a tall order convincing students to take up the courses. And in the first year, we had only 5. Now, translation to last Saturday. On Saturday, I had an occasion to speak to young people, a youth meeting, and I carried with me one of those 5 students, from JQAT now, in his full uniform, because now he is the warranty engineer for the shipyard that built the last to be delivered ferry. And you can imagine how that speaks to young people when they can see somebody who went into a career they didn't know about then, but through faith, through a lot of resilience and dedication, has now moved into the workplace. And he's telling them live that this is a good area to join. So I believe that all is not lost. maybe we've not reached enough. And that's why I welcome this development within the COVID pandemic, because while we used to do camps and reach only a small segment of society, listening to the plans that are laid out, listening to Safaricom saying that the sustainability increases, we are able to reach more people, more in languages they understand throughout Kenya. I'm excited that now we are on a platform that will ensure that next year, Pwani University will definitely have a class, maybe not as big, but based on where we are in our economy and in our development plans, with the maritime sector, the blue economy now having been mainstreamed into national development by being part of the Vision 2030, the economic pillar. I believe that now we are on the go, and we will be able to get more young people interested because they'll be able to see live examples of where they are going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. I don't know whether, Alice, you have anything to react to that, or we proceed to the question, because I see there are two people who have questions. You want to?
I think Nancy has said everything, and as a program, we are still really, we believe that there will be a change, because previously we have really not touched on so many students in our STEM program for girls, and now we'll be reaching out to both boys and girls. So I do believe, and I do agree with Nancy, that we'll have more people. Thank you. So we can move on to the next question.
Thank you, Alice. Just before we move to the next question, I have made a very serious omission in recognizing some very important people. I think I missed the name of the representative of the CS, the Chief Assistant Secretary or Admin Secretary. Madam, sorry, my apology, but you are most welcome. I recognize your presence. Okay. Moving on, we have two questions. One, I think Antares has raised her hand, indicating she has a question. Further down, we also have, I think, UNHCR, Wanjiru. Okay, Antares, then Wanjiru, UNHCR. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all the contribution. I joined the PS to express excitement that things are going to really even get better. I had said that I want to ask Kennedy in public, because Kennedy has made a very good offer, Safaricom. Yes, this is great, and this is how we really intend to move. We've had an earlier conversation, and one way that we can continue this exposition of what's happening and motivation for young people is to have an established platform, like you have said. And if you recall, I had said a cheaper option would be establishing resource centers that are not necessarily internet-based, but intranet-based, so that it will be offline, but it will have all the resources. And as we have been challenged, especially by Ruth, we could then be able to upload videos, recordings of different mentors, and really keep the conversation alive. Do you think Safaricom can really help us to work together in creating at least one center, which can be a model center for government to upscale later on, and for other partners to chip in? Because if we look at the hubs that are very much internet-based, it will not be a very good resource center for students and teachers to interact easily. So these are opportunities I believe we can look at, and maybe Safaricom can give us an idea how we can get going with the first resource center that can be a to-go place for lecturers, for students, and even for community, and for the radios and the television to also be able to tap information when necessary, without necessarily creating programs every time for it. It will be running. Safaricom's support is what I'm really looking at here. And Kennedy, do you think this is an option that we can explore together? Thank you.
Thank you, Andres. I'm glad the conversation is moving in a very productive direction. For this specific project for the Ask a Mentor, essentially what we're providing is a platform for continuing the conversation that will go beyond the broadcast media. I recognize the value you're proposing, essentially from the perspective of working on an intranet platform of some sort to have centers that can be models for resources that can be used. So I'll just highlight a program that we are currently working on. It's still at a very young stage, so we're still ideating and seeing how best that can work. We are calling it Digital Village Initiative. And this is essentially almost squarely aligned with the proposal you're making. So trying to see how we can create digital centers across the country where if it's education, if it is centers where youth can come and engage by leveraging on these hubs as centers where they can access internet to empower them through other means. Of course, for the mentorship, it's mostly leveraging on the platform as well as our SMS capabilities to keep the conversation going beyond the presentations in community radio stations, beyond the television stations. But now for that program, of course, it's something I would be very happy to explore how we can integrate the work UNESCO has done, as well as how far we have reached with our existing partners towards a sustainable approach that goes not just within the COVID period, even in a sustainable way. I'm hoping this is useful to the extent of the question you have asked.
Thank you. I think Anne heard you. The question is, Kennedy is hoping that this is useful, Andres. For me, I know it's very useful. Looking forward to the support and the collaboration. Thank you very much, Kennedy. We have a question from UNHCR, Njuki. No, not Njuki, sorry. It's Wanji. Wanjiru at unhcr.org. If you are still around, please, over to you. You have a question for Alice. And it reads in the chat box, Alice, maybe you listen. Communities in Turkana West, where Kakuma is situated, are running radio stations. The same situation in Dadaab, with support from KICD. Both local and refugee communities are accessing radio classes. There's a brief question now. Are these community radio stations included in the list of 42? There is potential to reach over 100,000 learners in these sub-counties. Alice.
Okay, thank you, Saidu, for that. It is very important that we get this information about the refugee camps and those other communities that being talked about. I do believe that we should be able to reach them with the community radios, and I would like to ask them, Mr. Kelvin Nyangueso, the coordinator, the chair of the Association of Community Media Operators, to give us light on this. However, in the event whereby they are not covered, we would be willing to share with them the presentations so that they can air them to the student. To the students, and we can discuss further how this can be done. But let me just, if you allow me, let me give the floor to Mr. Nyangueso to just clarify to us whether these 42 community radios also cover the areas that have been talked about. Over to you, Mr. Nyangueso.
All right, thank you very much, Alice and the team UNESCO for this great initiative. Just to pose a clarification also, on behalf of my chair, Mr. Daniel Waturu, and our secretary, Mr. George Momodo, we have the 42 stations scattered all the country, and I believe some of the radio station, the Turkana and the Dab, they are very covered. But definitely we are going to share some information, and also we'd like Njiro to share her contacts with us to confirm on the list if the station that she's talking about, maybe if they are on the list, because we have a lot of community radio stations within one region. Yeah. Thank you.
Any additional comments there? Teresia, you are muted. Your mic is mute. You want to unmute it? Teresia? Okay, well, while she's trying to sort out her mic, is there any other question? Hands raised. Meanwhile, Alice, maybe Antares, you might want to hear this. Jeremiah Njoki of IDRC is thanking UNESCO for this interesting and important event, and wants to, they're interested in providing support, looking forward to supporting the program. So I think IDRC would connect with Alice, myself, or Antares, or any UNESCO colleague for the engagement. Right.
Saidu, it is not Jeremiah, it is Jemima. It's a lady.
Jemima.
Thank you,
Jemima.
Yes, it's Jemima. Maybe I think we can give Jemima the floor to say hello so that people see her.
Jemima. Okay, I'm so sorry, Jemima.
Don't worry, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Thank you so much for this very interesting program. I work at Canada's International Development Research Center. I'm Kenyan and collaborate now and then with Alice and some of the other women that are mentoring girls in STEM. So very excited about the program. We hope that it can be sustained even after COVID, because it's going to be an opportunity for the many thousands of women actually in the country who actually want to mentor young girls, but often don't get the opportunity or the means or the processes to do so. I did have one question though about the radio programs and whether there are actually opportunities for the mentors to go live on these programs and to have a collaborative space where girls can actually ask the questions that they want to ask, irrespective of which part of the country they are from, besides the recorded messages and all that. It takes a lot for girls to actually be interacting and communicating directly with some of the people they look up to, or some of the people women that are working in sectors where they would like to know more about.
Thank you very much. There are some very interesting comments. One is coming from Mama Pli, UNESCO Addis, who is joining us, also talking about the same issue that these hubs and offline resources or solutions that Andres mentioned, and that she has some experience with Cisco and so on and so on. Okay, any other specific question?
Saidu, maybe I need to respond to Jemima's question on the,
Jemima, okay, please go ahead.
The community radios, the radio programs. Yes, we did. We've thought about that, where the mentors would be, live to answer the questions. But as what we came up with as partners, we realized that if you're targeting over 10 million students, you may end up jamming, you know, the station with calls coming in and all that. And so it was agreed that the students would be given a number, and that is the one that Safaricom has set for us, to call and to send their questions to. That way they can have a direct contact with a mentor for the particular, you know, area, to avoid a lot of, you know, so many questions coming at the same time. However, depending on what we see, you know, from the first airing, we are very free to change and provide that opportunity for that direct interaction. There are subjects like mathematics and physics. I forgot to say, these ones are demonstrative subjects, and they will be definitely offered on, you know, television. Now, at that point, we are also aware that we could have the mentor really being, you know, live on standby to respond to questions if there are any. Again, they will be directed to the platform, and we do believe that that interaction will be there. Lastly, this program, I would like to assure Jemima and all the other participants, this program is not just going to stop with COVID. And in any case, we know COVID is here with us to stay. So this program is going to continue in the new normal, and will definitely, you know, it will be sustained. But of course, we need partners like you to enable us to sustain it and even improve on it, you know, further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice, for that response. We are running out of time. We are approaching 1 o'clock, and we had planned to close at 12:15. But let me just mention some of the few messages coming through. One from Astrid Bonte Utelsat, who has some nice words to say about what we are doing. And we are convinced that making use of satellite technology, proposing use of satellite technology, both through internet access and TV, radio broadcasting, could help reach even more boys and girls in this period. Okay, there are ideas coming up, and thank you very much. But since we are short for time, unless there's a very specific question that you want to pose to Alice on the program, we can move on to the final item on the agenda, if that's agreeable.
Yes, Sedu. Since we still have the Cabinet Assistant Secretary, the Administrator with us, let's first allow her, Mrs. Muni. I can't read properly your name. I'm sorry. But then, is it Mumina Bonya? Probably given some of the issues raised. Yes.
Yes, Anne, if I may interrupt, I'm just happy to see that Astrid is there from Utelsat, and I think this is an opportunity for us to, you know, to inform also the Ministry of Education that Utelsat, the European satellite company, is very interested in connecting schools that have participated in the STEM program to, you know, internet. So they're here with us. They're willing to work with the ministry, and they will soon be, you know, will soon be coming to you because they want to support by connecting the schools. That's information I wanted to pass over. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And Therese, that is noted.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think, Alice, before we go to the schools, let's first work with the hubs. If we can divide Kenya into like 10 hubs for a start and work with them, then that way when it gets down to the school, it will be easier. And that's where Safaricom can also come in, because internet connectivity is one thing, but we know for sustainability, we have to look at an option that is really offline. And if we can have our hubs connected to internet, then teachers can draw from there and use the offline through the Wi-Fi bridging, and can get information, and there'll be a greater interaction. So this is a very good offer, Astrid. let's get the conversation going with Safaricom, with UNHCR especially. We had this conversation in Dadaab, in Kakuma. These are very hard to reach area. And so rather than really go with the internet, which will be expensive, especially for children and parents, we can really have the cheaper option of the offline, but accompany us. This is a great idea. We very much welcome it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Antares. Okay, yes, thanks, Astrid. Please catch up with Alice. Okay, yes. Astrid will link up with Alice.
To the CAS there to really give us her perspectives, because she has challenged us and she had posed a number of critical questions. Probably having heard from all of you, she may have something to say before I close. Thank you.
All right. Madam Mumina.
Thank you once again. This is a very interesting conversation, and I actually enjoyed each and every bit of it. I've had this concern, even as ministry, as we are trying to see which platform we can use to reach out to our students while they're still at home, because it's very important for us to continue engaging them, even when we know very well that once we resume, then we'll be able to pick syllabus from where we left. But still, remember at this time, they've got so much time on their hands. And if we don't engage them, we will lose them. The same way, if we don't continue engaging them in the STEM subject, we will again lose the interest and the momentum that you've created earlier on. But now, talking of the reach, I personally have a very clear understanding of the challenges out there. I come from an area where there's no power, there's no internet. And one will wonder, how do you reach out to these students who live in those, in such a community? I think the most important thing for us, and this is something also ministry is beginning to work on, are we able to map this country and see where is it that we have access to power and internet? Where is it that we only have access to power but no internet? Where is it that we don't have any? Where is it that there are even no roads? Forget about, radio reach and all that. So with the support of KICD, are we able to map this first? Once we map it, which platforms are available that we can use to reach these areas, all these areas, without actually leaving any part of the country behind? Because it's very important that we observe equity and equality as we, try to do this. So, and for a very long time, there's always been this blame that ministry is not keen on, engaging students who are in hard to reach areas. That has not been the case. We have radio, KBC radio, that can cover the entire country, that we are using to reach out to those in, those remotest part of this country. Is that an option for us for this program as well? Or what extra do we need to do? Maybe we will require a teacher or even a mentor to come in, in terms of interaction between this student and the radio, so that they're able to understand what we are talking about. I had a chance to go out there and sit in a class where students were listening to a radio. Of course, there are some of the things that was being taught, they were not able to relate. First, they've never had an opportunity to interact with, for example, if you talk of road safety measures, they've never had an opportunity to see a tarmac road where there are signs, zebra signs crossed, where there is, a signpost showing that there are students crossing, so the vehicles should stop. They've not had that opportunity to see such kind of, development. So it would have been best if we had a teacher in that setup to explain to them, maybe with a visual aid. So it's good for us to map again and to understand the challenges and even the cultural and social issues that underlie, the will for these girls or these boys to take up STEM subjects. What are they? They are very context specific. You go to pastoral areas, there are issues that are specific to those areas. You go to other areas, there are issues that are specific to those areas. Are we able to get people who have got, a good understanding of that context, so that they can also be a bridge between the offline or online program we are giving a better understanding and for for it to give us some value for our time and resources. Thank you.
And your voice is mute.
Okay.
Mic, yeah, okay.
Thank you so very much. I think you have given us the handle to really push further. That's why I love it when you have a lady at the helm. They want to see results. I think it was echoed by the RC. No prejudice to the men. It's just an observation. It's the natural tendency for women to multitask. So whatever comes up, they jump on board, whereas the man would always want to focus on the one thing and do it very well. So, I mean, we are complementary, and I really just want to thank you, Madam CS. This is really, really very important for us. What you have said is possible. We have been really, through the e-learning strategy launch, mobilized all the different IT partners, and we have already had an initial conversation with Kennedy. Kennedy will attest to it. Now, the way forward is for government to realize what is needed. And given the resources coming from GPE, for instance, we can already ask, can we get something like out of the 15 million, 2 million to really start working on the offline? And it will leave no one behind. I understand what you have rightly said. There are certain communities where you do not have electricity. So there is the solar alternative. And all of these technology can really easily be adapted to be able to ensure that depending on the alternative solution that you have, we can also pick up on that. You could see from the chat, Microsoft is on board. And so there are partners already mobilized. And we are looking across the subsector. There are partners that have even offered to support universities develop their own hubs and network among the universities to promote a number of these things, including artificial intelligence. Now, if we look at the schools, that's where we will have the greatest challenge. So these hubs that we are looking at, which could really be mapped out across the country, starting, of course, with those areas, as you've rightly said, where you do not have connectivity, where you do not have access. They could be the priority, because Agenda 2030, 2063, or even the policy orientation of the country is really endeavoring to ensure that no one is left behind. So I'm saying, for instance, if we have 2 million, we would be able to really create something like 20 centers. And what are these centers? These are centers where you can really mobilize content, create libraries, virtual libraries, digital libraries that students can access, teachers can access, and if it is in terms of interaction, students can interact with their teachers because there are going to be like classrooms, and they know which class they belong to and which teacher is supporting that. And there could also be assessment. There has been a lot of talk about e-assessment. All of that is possible, but we must use technology to make it happen. Artificial intelligence, the industrial revolution, it is the fourth industrial revolution, is all about technology. And we need not shy away from it. We are aware of some of the strides that have been taken by Kenya, and that's why we are so very hopeful, because there was this one laptop per child, but what happened to the laptop? Some of them were not touched. So we can go back to that idea, reinforce it with one laptop per teacher. And with these type of resources, the sky is the limit. So I'm counting on you, and we can very quickly regroup. You could see the offer from Microsoft, from EU, UNHCR, we've been discussing with Safaricom, we had a conversation. So we just come back together, look at what offers are there, and start. It can be done now. It does. The technology, interestingly, is one that does not require that, just like Alice has mentioned, bring everybody together and face to face. We can do a whole lot of stuff that's remotely done, and we can already begin to build capacity of teachers, because most of the teachers do not have IT skills, for instance. So all of these type of packages are there, and we have a lot of offer. So let me, following what you have just said, thank everybody, thank Alice. I remember when we just started and I said, oh no, we can do the camp, and Alice was saying to me, oh, you know, but I said, no, where there is a will, there is a way. And here we are, we have gone very far, and we'll be launching very soon these programs. I want to thank the mentors. I want to assure all of you, KICD in particular, we are already working with you on different, you know, kind of platforms. It is a question that is, in fact, for me, the easier to deal with. If we were, during COVID, going to focus on STEM subjects, I think we would have made more mileage, because some of these other subjects are a little bit more complicated. But imagine teaching the maths, the science, the physics, and then getting this spotlight. I like the spotlight issue mentioned by Ruth, doing interviews, really showcasing success. I think that's the best way to go. Let me just conclude by saying, and I repeat what I had said earlier, and I think re-echoing the RC, I think the RC has left, but maybe he could have also done a repeat, because I think he's a more powerful speaker than myself and really knows how to connect the dots and really bring together the aspirations of government. But in my poor attempt, let me just really say, I believe there are great opportunities, but we have to rethink delivery of education. We do not really have to have an education system where students have to go through school, get knowledge, get skills, and then work. Today, young people are more excited to even test some of the knowledge and skills and start earning. If we can really be brave enough to adopt this approach, we would not lose our young people. They'll be so excited, because education will become more of you know, problem solving, more of innovation, more of really trying it out, going out there to be apprentices, to learn some more, coming back to school. That back and forth is really the excitement. And we have seen it in the Nordic countries. Take, for instance, in Finland, the time that is spent in school is not anywhere close to the drudgery we put our young people through. And yet they come out very disenchanted, not very enthused, shying away from those important subjects that require their mental, you know, acumen to really help solve government's problem. I thank NACOSTI because they've been joining with us, the National Commission, and now we have been challenged. We have been challenged to go beyond just the mentoring. We have been challenged to go beyond just the promotional. We are challenged to link up education to the requirements of positioning Kenya in the fourth industrial revolution that would enable the country to tackle issues of poverty, issues of hunger, issues of health, and in general employment and development in a way that could increase prosperity for the citizenship of Kenya. On that note, let me thank you all again. I can go on and on, but it's such an excitement, and I just want us to get started. Thank you, Safaricom. Thank you, Microsoft, for joining in this conversation. Thank you to the colleagues from the UN system. I've got a lot of very positive feedback that's been conveyed. Thank you to our colleagues from our other offices in Addis. I saw Mama Player, I saw Justine from headquarters. We are together, and I'm really encouraged that we started this conversation, and the launch will take place as soon as possible. Everything is ready to go. Thank you very much, Madam Mumina Bonyaya, for staying through, Bonaya, for staying through to the very end. I will come over so that I practice speaking, pronouncing your name. You know, I come from West Africa, and some of these sounds are not really part of our dialect. So I always struggle with the names. But thank you so very much, Professor Catherine Gila. You are an inspiration for young people. Thank you, and have a good day. Thank you. Over to you, Seydou and Alice.
Thank you very much, Antares, with those remarks, which are concluding remarks. I don't think there's any need to add anything there. but to just to underline our appreciation, like you said, to Madam Mumina Bonaya and all the other very important people for their interest and enthusiasm in this program. You can see the participants came from beyond Kenya, and I think that is an indication of the interest that is attached to such a program. Yeah. It was for me personally a pleasure for me to serve as moderator for the Q&A session, and that I don't know, for me everything is.
I should also thank Professor Catherine. I didn't see her earlier. She's also been part of our long-time mentors. Thank you so very much. You know, I mean, I'm sorry if I have left anybody out. Thank you.
One more thing, I would like to say thank you to each one of you. I thought I would have a chance to say so, but I think I can sneak in that. And from the ministry side, we are committed to this cause. You can count on our support at any level. Kindly understand that we are also finding this very important, and we would like to commit our time and resources to make sure that we succeed. So from our end, you can call on us anytime, and we are ready to walk this journey with you.
Excellent. And you want to say something there?
It's like never ending. It's such an excitement, and I'm sure from the mentors, they are all ready to get cracking. We'll be coming. The one thing you don't want to do is to tell people that you are ready. And once you say you are ready, you have so many others that will fall back on you. And so you in particular, Mumina, I will be coming. You know, I mean, that's one thing I don't like to hear somebody tell me. You see, Kennedy didn't say yes directly, but he knows I'll come after him again. So now we make sure we have our champion, and that champion is you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. I think on this note, I think this meeting is now over. Unless I hand over to my colleague Jaya, if you are still around, to just say bye-bye to everyone. Jaya, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Saidu. I mean, it's an excellent day for us, and we got a lot of messages out there from everyone. I mean, thrilled to work. I think Alice is following it up with everyone, and we got the support from all the corners. Thank you very much, everyone. That's it from my side, and we can close it, Saidu. Saidu, you're muted. Saidu, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. And this meeting is now over. And we'll keep in touch for anyone who wants to get in touch with us. Alice is one of us. And so we'll move it from there. I know Kennedy will be meeting very soon, along with others. We'll be meeting very soon on the different engagements that we've had going. So with that, I think I say thank you very much and bye-bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.